Okay, so we've got an issue now with displaying our dates in our application, and we can't display dates as objects in JSX. We have to display them as strings. So how do we do that? Well, one of the things that Date Picker uses is Date FNS. And if we open up the terminal once again and clear the screen here, then we want to actually install Date FNS as a package into our application. So we'll actually go ahead and install this so that we get the full type safety and everything with Date FNS. And if we type in npm ls and look for Date FNS and press return, we can see that this is already in use in our application by React Date Picker. But what we'll do, just to be safe, is we'll actually install this, the same version, into our application as well. So I'm just going to copy this and say npm install and paste in Date FNS including the version number. We don't want to use a different version here to React Date Picker because experience tells me that dates can be problematic, and this is the safest way to use Date FNS in our application. So now we have that installed, what we'll go and do is we'll take a look at all the places where we're displaying dates, and we'll use Date FNS to format our dates as strings. And Date FNS, if you've never used it before, is really like using something like Lodash for dates. And it provides a toolset for manipulating JavaScript dates in a browser and Node.js. And if we take a look at the documentation, all we're looking at doing just now with this is formatting our dates. And we've got an option here to go ahead and format the date using standard date conventions for displaying dates. And what we'll do is we'll go across to VS Code once again. And all we need to do here is just format the strings or the dates in each of our components that are displaying a date. So one of them is the activity list item. And if we go inside here, then we can see that we are attempting to display a date here. So all we need to do in this case is I'll make a bit of space and then I'll start typing format. And what we want to do is bring in format from Date FNS. And that's unfortunate. This is the first time that it appears the auto import is going to let me down. And of course, this didn't happen when I was testing, but now it is happening. But all we need to do is I'm just going to go up and manually import lists. And I'm going to say import format from Date FNS. I was hoping that installing this directly would avoid having to type this in manually, but such is life, and this is how we get around that. So I'm going to say format and wrap the activity date in brackets and then add a comma, and then we need to specify how we want the date to be formatted. And in this case, what I'm going to do is specify in the activity list item is a dd mmm yyyy and then h:mmAA, and once again the activity date could possibly be null, so what we'll need to do is specify the exclamation mark once again inside here to get that corrected. The next place we'll go is our activity detail header, and inside here we're also specifying the date somewhere, and here it is. And let's see if we can get the format automatically imported, and no, of course not. And I'll need to go ahead and import this manually at the top once again. So I'll say import format from Date FNS. And then we can come down and use it, and let's add parentheses, and we'll add the exclamation mark and a comma, and then for this one we'll just say ddmmm yyyy. And the other place we're specifying dates is in the activity detailed info. So let's go to this component next. And once again, I'm just going to import format from Date FNS. And inside here, where we've got the activity dates, I'm just going to say format, add the exclamation mark, and then for this particular one, we'll also include the time information, so we'll say dd mmm yyyy and h:mmAA. And we'll just use this in one more place, and if we go to our activity store, where we were using the ISO string here, we can actually just use the format function instead. So once again, I'm just going to import this at the top. And we'll say from date FNS. And what we'll do is where we've got our activity date here, instead of all of this, we can say format. And we'll say activity.date, exclamation mark. And for this one, we'll say ddmmm YYYY. And this will just have the benefit of displaying our group names above the activities for each date in a slightly better format. And if we go and take a look at our application, we should find that this has resolved all of the issues that we had. And let's just take a look. So we can see the dates now formatted as our headers for our activities. We can see the date being displayed correctly here. If we go and view an activity, then we can see it being displayed there correctly, as well as here as well in the info panel. And if we click on manage event, then we get our date displayed here as well, and we can go ahead and select a date and change it if we wish to do so. So now that we've got all of our elements in our form, the other fields here are just going to stay as text fields, but we've got all of the elements in our form complete now. And what we'll take a look at next is doing a small bit of housekeeping in our form, and we'll also hook it back up so that we can submit it and update our database at the back end. And we'll take a look at that next.